Go live. Let's try this. All right, guys. I think we are live. And
technology.
I also, am I recording this? Let me just see. I gotta see if I'm recording this. Well, you know, it'll be live on Facebook. It'll record it live on Facebook. So, and then I'm gonna go live here on Instagram. Let's see how that goes.
Okay, on Instagram, can you only hold it that way, or can you hold your?
I think this way is the best way. I think is the way people look at their phones. So guys, hi, we're live on Instagram. I'm kind of pointing you at my computer because I have the lovely Bettina Gordon with me. And I want to start streaming my Facebook Lives to Instagram as well because we have such a great audience there. And I know you guys love to just like tune in and see us. And all my Facebook fans, I know you guys love to tune in. So I figured, why not just do it all? So anyway, I kind of have this little ghetto setup over here where I just have my phone leaning against something. So it's catching the screen on Facebook Live. I mean, on Zoom, and Zoom is streaming to Facebook Live. Technology is freaking insane.
And I'm trying to same here on Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm doing it.
Tina's like, teach me everything. And I just learned it all myself. And I don't really know what I'm doing. But we're getting some live people on Insta Live. Hi, guys. And then Facebook is going strong. And so anyway, today, what we, I love coming to you guys on Thursdays. It's my, every week I come live to you guys to give you some healthy living tips so you can reawaken your health and live your healthiest life. And for those of you that are new to me, welcome. I love you to be part of my community. I'm so grateful that you're part of my community. And as I said, I do this every week. I'm here every Thursday at noon. Sometimes there's a little aberration in that schedule, but I'm here every week to give you guys fun, free health reawakening tips. And this week we're going to talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart and to my co-host's heart as well. And it's all about, the joy of later motherhood. But I think even more importantly, right, and we'll get into some of this, is the ability to conceive, not only conceive, but naturally conceive in your 40s, right? And so Bettina and I are both living examples of that. And so Bettina, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us, she's got an incredible book called The Joy of Later Motherhood. Late motherhood, not later. Late motherhood. The joy.
Later.
I don't know why I left the R off.
Sorry. Later.
Later. Exactly.
Yeah, so Aimee, thank you very much for having me. This is awesome. This is the book, The Joy of Later Motherhood, that really comes out originally from my own experience because and that was the reason I wrote it. So I had my boy at 44, which was completely normal to me because I'm third generation of women in my family who have the children in their 40s.
Right.
So having a child in my 40s was completely normal to me, and I enjoyed it so much, I had a natural conception, birth, wonderful pregnancy, and I was, holding my baby, and I enjoyed it so much being a mom now that I'm a mature woman, that I had a life before I had my baby, and I thought, I want to write about that.
Yes.
So you also have to know that I've been a journalist since the early 90s. So writing is that's my world. And I thought, I would like to write about it. And then, Aimee, I made a colossal mistake. I Googled, so beforehand, I didn't really Google because, again, my mindset was different. This was normal to me. I had no doubt. I had no biological clock that was ticking or driving me crazy.
Right.
But then I Googled. And I put in pregnancy over 35 and then pregnancy over 40, and I could not believe what I was reading.
No.
I was sitting literally with my little boy on my lap, feeling great, and then I read one horror story after the other. One headline that put the fear inside me, but I already had my baby, and I was feeling it in my gut, and I thought, no, hold on a second. This can't be the only narrative that's out there. This is hurtful for women who come to motherhood later in life, just reading this. So I was like, oh, no, hang on a second. And then I got mad.
Yeah.
I got really passionate about it. I thought no, hang on a second. This is not the whole story. And then I really decided, okay, I want to write the book.
Yes.
The book that I now titled The Joy of Later Motherhood. But I also knew, Aimee, that, and I had the feedback from a friend of mine. She's a great, great journalist, very, very esteemed, and she knows a lot about the topic too. And she gave me also great feedback. She said at one point to me, she said, when I told her my story, she said, Bettina, that's great for you that we were, getting pregnant basically instantly. The first try at 43, but she acknowledged, she says, and she came from, it was her own experience as well. She says, there's so much pain and guilt and also a bit shame around this topic that she said to me, Bettina, it's great that it worked for you so easily at 43, but maybe you were just effing lucky.
Right.
And she had a point, she had a point. And so I was really sitting with that one sentence, maybe I was just effing lucky.
Yeah.
And I was sitting with it and I thought about it and I was like, no, hang on. Yes, I am effing lucky because I have a healthy child. I had a great pregnancy and everything. However, there is more to this. Yes. I knew it intuitively in my gut, in my fiber, in my whole being, there is way more. And I did something right the whole, through the whole process. And so I thought like, no. This needs to be shared. We have to have a different perspective. And there is another one and it's really validating. And then you know what I did? I reached out to other women. And first, I just asked in my, just friends and family. And so, do you know anybody? And then I started to do my interviews. Again, I'm a journalist. Interviewing comes naturally to me and I just love that. And plus I like to connect with people. Yeah. So I did the interviews and I had moms from all walks of life. IVF, surrogacy, natural conception, adoption, everything. And I did my first 30 interviews and then I noticed something interesting. More than half of the women I had interviewed at this point had natural conceptions in the 40s. The criteria was first child in your 40s. And more than half of them had natural conceptions. And me being a journalist, I thought ooh, this is the real story. Because this is not what you expect.
Right.
This is that's the surprising angle, and that feeds into what you said at the beginning. There is so much more fertility in our 40s that we're aware of because we are only focused, or we get the doom and gloom scenario, the scary statistics, the scary articles to read.
Well, and even now today, because the doctors and the media are putting so much pressure on us to have kids early, because our fertility declined significantly after the age of 35, women are trying to bust it out. They don't even want to think about being pregnant in their 40s. That's scary to them. So they're trying to get their kids in. However, I agree. Clinically, I don't see that, right? I see women getting pregnant in their 40s. I just had someone, 42, get pregnant naturally after 8 years of trying to conceive, multiple IUIs, IVFs, had been working with me and my clinic and my associate, for about a year and a half prior. And, we were the 7th acupuncturist that she'd seen. So, she tried everything, nutrition, everything. And, I think whatever, it was the right formula of all things coming together and spiritual work and emotional work and her healing and releasing, and a canceled retrieval for leading to an IVF led to a natural conception at the age of 42. She had never been pregnant before. So 8 years of trying and never pregnant. That's incredible. And it happens, I think, all the time. That's one story, right? And you went around and collected a multitude of stories from women. I was in the book.
Yes, chapter 3.
Yes, chapter 3. I'm chapter 3 in the book. So great, so great. But I think it's a story. I think that we have to preface it with, that women, I always say fertility is an extension of health. And as long as we're leading these healthy lives and supporting ourselves in the right ways, fertility can still happen in our 40s. It can still happen. Fertility still exists in our 40s, and pregnancy can still happen in our 40s. I don't think you were just lucky. You know, I think that you were healthy, and I think your partner was healthy, and I think you guys came together and you were excited about this. And I also think you weren't influenced by all the negative talk, because that negative talk influences our belief systems.
Yes.
Our belief systems influence our behavior, which influences our health. And so if we're walking around saying, you know, my fertility declines at 35, that can become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yes, I completely agree. I completely agree. And you know what was very interesting? When I made the choice of focusing on natural pregnancies,
right?
I still, you know, I never posted on social media that I'm looking for any women. I never went to a forum to look for my women. It was word of mouth.
Right.
I just asked the women that I know. And then sometimes I would meet, like, so coincidental, I would draw them to me, like meeting them at the dog park. And somehow the topic comes up, you know, randomly, you know. And so I found easily, again, without using social media or so, 60 women had the first child in their 40s, naturally.
Wow.
And exactly. So I am thinking that there is really much more fertility around us that we usually don't see. And this is why I think the book, so out of the 60, I took the top 18 stories, you know, because if a woman told me, oh yeah, I met my husband and we were pregnant within 2 months, that's great for her, but that doesn't make for a good story. So,
yeah.
You know, I said,
that was mine though. That was my story, but I got in because I wrote that book, that one.
Well, and you had so much more to talk about fertility around, you know, around fertility. And so I took really also examples of women who it took them years.
Yeah.
To get pregnant. So it was not for many, it was just so, but they didn't give up. And this is where I think this is the big difference. So we are broadcasting here to your audience. But in addition, I think so many people do not know, women and men, they don't know that the world of natural fertility experts exists.
Yes.
They go to, of course now, they go phone doesn't ring, but now of course they go to the infertility clinics, because that's the natural, this is what people are aware of. They don't know that there's a whole universe with people like you there. And I heard it very many times in my interviews that women had an experience to went to the infertility doctors.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, for example, here in DC where I live, she was 45 years old. She had come out of her first marriage that took 20 years. And then she met somebody else, and with the new man in her life, for the first time in her life, she saw herself. She had the thought of maybe a child would be an option for me. You know, she never got pregnant with the first husband. They didn't use any contraceptives, but 20 years, nothing happened. So she went to an IVF clinic, a very prominent clinic here in DC, and just to check on her health. But she was 45 at the time. So she got there, and the first thing the doctor she whipped out a piece of paper, read my friend all the risks, all the hazards, you know, all the things that can go wrong. And then she said, you know, I really, with you, I wouldn't even want to try IVF with your own eggs. We should go to donor eggs right away. However, luckily for the next 24 hours, you can have access to our sperm donors for free and check them out. So my friend, she went in thinking, okay, she wants to get checked on her health.
And
but she went out with a payment plan and completely confused and shattered. She felt like, this is not what I expected.
Right.
The doctor that she met there, I don't want to suggest anything that the doctor didn't have her best interest at heart. I don't want to say that. I'm just saying this doctor could have sat in front of the healthiest 45-year-old woman she's ever seen, but she wouldn't know it because she didn't even try. To understand what was going on. And so my friend went home. She was very upset. 3 months later, she was pregnant naturally and gave birth at 46.
Oh, I love that. That's a great.
And her boy and my boy are buddies like this.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. That's a great story, and it's so inspiring. I mean, as you know, I have a lot of people that come to me for help with fertility, and, you know, through writing, you know, Yes, You Can Get Pregnant and my e-course and all that. And I know my e-course girls are watching this right now and are
hello e-course girls,
loving that story, because that's what they need to hear, that, right? Like 45 naturally pregnant. I mean, and that's, you know, the the oldest, right, in my clinic was 46. It was with an IUI, but it was natural. And it was really only because the husband traveled so much, they did the IUI. So I do believe that would have happened on its own naturally at home. So I kind of count that as a natural conception in my head. But yeah, I see it. I mean, yeah, I have friends and family, 43, 44, clients, 43, 44. I think 40 is, I mean, that's what happened for me, right? 40 was pretty easy. And I think 43, 44, and then 45, depending on the state of the health, I think is totally doable. But women in non-industrial countries are getting pregnant at like 49, so there's capability.
I also had one of the women, 46, her name is Ellen. So if you get the book, Ellen, read Ellen's story. She was also 46. And for some, what I find so fascinating, they tried for many, many years and also did IVFs and such. And then they go and work with a natural fertility practitioner. And like Piper tried for 7 years.
Yeah.
That happened. Then she I think she used Andrew loosely. Doesn't matter. Whoever, to use Aimee, because Aimee rocks. Whoever you choose to work with. But after 7 years, it took only 7 months and she was pregnant. It's like, hello, there's no. So I'm okay. This is what I. If anybody asks me, okay, I'm in my 40s, what should I do? I would say find yourself the natural fertility practitioner that really speaks to you.
Mm-hmm.
They come to me for mindset training, but then really when it comes to the body, find yourself a natural fertility expert that you trust and start working with them immediately. To get your health in tip-top shape, because regardless of what you do, natural or IVF, this can only be
that. Yeah, absolutely. And you need, like you said, your mindset too. You need your mind in tip-top shape. I mean, you and I do so much of that work. And to me, it's just as important as that nutrition, as those supplements, as that lifestyle, as taking CoQ10. It's believing in your body and its ability to conceive and surrounding yourself with the positive stories, like the hopeful stories, rather than going on the forums and, hearing all the negative talk and all these things, but surround yourself with women that have done it and do what they did, and it happens. It happens. It just does. I mean, even, I'm so excited for my client that's pregnant, but it was like 8 years of trying. And then at 42, I mean, the doctors can't even believe it. And they're now calling me. Can we refer patients to you for diet?
Good. I love that.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Two. She's seen like every fertility doctor in Manhattan. So 2 of them have already reached out to me because she sent out all emails to all of them and was like, this is what I did over the last year and a half. These are the steps I took. And she did mention all, of course, the mindset shifts as well. And and they had all been working with her and knew her case, and she had low AMH and high FSH, like all the poor, the poor numbers, right? The poor reserve. And it's against all odds, if you will, but not to me, right? Of course, I wouldn't take a client on I didn't believe could do it.
Yes. And can I just chime in here for a moment with the mindset piece? Because I think this is of utmost importance in my experience. So that was me personally. My drip up was not my body. My drip up was in between my ears, So that may be also interesting for anybody who watches us right now to know that my husband and I, we tried to conceive for 1 year, when in between 40 and 41. So I have my birthday is at the beginning of January, so it's always easy, 1 year mark. And we didn't use any contraceptive and nothing happened in between 40 and 41. And I know now it was because I was riddled with contradictory thoughts.
Yes, you were
worried.
What
did my child do to my life? Mm-hmm. What I didn't have could I conceive or not? I didn't have that. I had that. What would it do? Like I would be like
the fears of becoming a mom. Yeah,
exactly. I had all of those thoughts, and plus, I think I was not at that time. Joshua and I, we had always a good relationship, but it was not so solid. There was some piece of that too. So after the year, I actually said, okay, no, let's not do it. I'm fine. And then I took, and this is so contradictory to any story that's out there. You always say, oh, don't lose another month. Go.
I know, the pressure.
Exactly. So I took the pressure completely off, and I took 2 years, 2 whole years yeah, to work my stuff out. So I'm not saying anybody should do 2 years. I was a little slow. I'm slow on the uptake here. But I was also slow to come to motherhood somehow, those big topics. But I really worked it out. Like I did things that are not necessarily immediately related to pregnancy. Like I got a different job.
Yes, so important.
Opened up a whole different world to me. Joshua and I, we went into couples therapy, and coming out of that, we were rock solid. It's a completely different feel to it all,
Yeah.
So I did a few things, and that was, I think, really that made it possible that when I was 43, and we both had said, okay, we try one more time, I didn't have all those thoughts anymore. I was crystal clear. Like the highway was open. The German Autobahn, was right. And I was in the Porsche. Okay, let's do this. On the German Autobahn. And we just did it. And we were pregnant at the first try.
God, that's amazing. I love that story. Yeah.
So that's why I'm so like anybody, all the women that I work with on their mindset, because I think this is so important. This is what tripped me up.
Yep.
This was my handicap.
It is. We get in our own way, and then we sabotage. And I always say too, it's all this talk about inflammation. It's like, well, sure, there's inflammation from the foods, right, that we eat or don't eat, but the inflammation from our thoughts. What about that? The toxic thoughts can be very inflammatory to the system and really shut down things. And also, if you get, on the spiritual side. And I always love this. And, there's a lot of that spirit baby conversation out there, but the child that is coming to you is entering into a relationship with you, right? This isn't a one-sided thing. And so to understand that this child is calling of you into your greatest good, right? Into your strongest power. And that's an honor, because they're asking, this is the kind of mom I want. I want the mom at 43 that's strong and the highway is super open. I don't want the mom that's second guessing things and in the rocky relationship. I want her to figure her shit out, and then I'm going to come, and it's like, that's beautiful, right? That they have a role in this too. And to realize that if they're, and that's how I try to look at them. If there are challenges, part of me thinks it's because the spirit of your child wants you to work through some things before they can come in. And not because, you've been chosen to suffer or anything like that. It's more because you've been chosen to grow more and then you reach this place where then you're going to be this amazing mother to this spirit, which is, and I mean, that's one of the best things too, right? We've talked about this of being able to do it after we've lived our lives for, all those years. And what
wave back, but I don't know how.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how to wave back.
Instagram people. I would love to wave back, but I don't know.
I'm going to cop to Facebook because I want to make sure. I can't tell if there's any questions here, but anyway.
Please look for questions. In the meantime, I just wanted to say, because you just brought up something again that is normal for you. You've had your clinic for 10, 15 years. So talking about the spirit of the baby and such.
Oh yeah, it's so normal to me. I'm sure for some people they're like, what the?
I learned
talking about she's crazy.
Yeah,
I don't hold that back anymore, because I don't think I'm crazy, and I do think it's a very legitimate conversation. Yeah, and I think it's also very, and excuse me as I say this from a place of love, but I think it's really selfish of us to think that this is a one-sided thing. We are starting a relationship with another human being, and they have a say in this. And if you don't understand that and take that in, I think that's the first step in motherhood. Like, I really do, to understand that this is a relationship. This isn't do what I tell you to do when I tell you to do it. That's not that mothering. Yeah. And we have to mother ourselves first and be open to receive. But there's magic that goes on in this. It's more than just egg and sperm meeting and what supplements and what diet. There's some magic in here. Yeah. And I think that magic, part of that is spirit. I do, and that's how I see it. And that's a lot of my favorite work to do. And I probably do that more behind closed doors with my girls in my groups and in my coaching. But that's where, if I see a woman that says, oh, I've tried everything and nothing's working, it's like, okay, well, then we need to work on the spiritual side. We need to work on the mindset thing, because that's the last block, and that. and you saw it in yourself. You saw the transformation.
Yes. And I noticed in the book, so that's why the book is, I have it in 3 pillars.
Right. Yeah. That was one of my questions for you. So go ahead with that.
The mind, the body, and the spirit section, because I noticed there were quite a lot of women talking about that they had a feeling a child was around. That they, like, even my best friend in Austria, she already had 2, and she says, I was with the 2 downstairs, I heard a 3rd one cry upstairs.
Wow.
They have, like, I think
a calling. It's mother's intuition. It really is.
Exactly. When we allow ourselves to calm down a bit and listen to the intuition, I heard it so often, and these come from women who run huge resorts.
Right.
They are journalists, they are doctors, they are lawyers, they are real estate people, not usually somebody who is already in the spiritual scene. You would expect it more, but they're not.
Right.
And they still gave me all these hints that it's a 3rd pillar. Spirit is a 3rd pillar, anyway you dice it. Or if you just, a wonderful example was one of the ladies. She's not in a long story in the book, but New York City woman. I mean, you live there. I used to live there. So we are strong. We are high strung. We are usually getting our ways, and she couldn't. Approaching 40, and this did not happen. The pregnancy didn't happen, and of course, it really shook her to the core, because all of a sudden she couldn't make it happen. And one day she was sitting in Central Park, and she was seeing other, so many families and pregnant women walking by, and women with the strollers. And instead of being like angry or jealous, which is a very, very understandable emotion. I'm not saying you shouldn't feel that, because it's very understandable. But she had an epiphany. She was sitting in Central Park thinking, all of a sudden, what if I am not the only one who is in charge here of my life?
That's it.
What if there is, and she's very, she's religious. So what if God, I grew up with God, I believe in God. What if God also has a say in it? Whatever you want to call it, God, universe, whatever, the baby. No? And just the thought that she is not alone in charge and also to blame.
That's it. It freed her up. It allows her. Yeah.
She realized, oh, okay, if I'm not the only one, maybe I don't have to blame myself. Maybe I don't have to go so crazy about it. And it took about, I think, a year and a half, but things changed. She started to go to church again. Her relationship with her husband improved. There were so many things that improved. And she got pregnant a year and a half later. She may have already had the child a year and a half later.
Right.
But anyway, you dice it. It worked, but it was very important. The spiritual part was very important to her.
I love that. I think I do. And I think that's, if there's a big takeaway for our audience today, it's that. It's, I think you should get inspiration and check out Bettina's book for certain. I agree. Yeah. It's a great book. It is. Read it in conjunction with mine, the Yes You Can Get Pregnant book, if you haven't already read that one. But I'm assuming you're here, so you probably know of that book of mine. But this is a beautiful book, and it's so inspiring. And I loved being interviewed for it. But that big piece of just, that it can happen, that it does happen a lot. More often, than not, I think. And that's the thing, too. We don't have a lot of statistics on this age group, because they either have problems and then they wind up in the fertility clinic. So we have those stats, but we don't have the stats on the women that just get pregnant on their own naturally, because it's hard to track those stats. You just don't have them. So to understand too, that the statistics that the fertility doctors are giving you are statistics from their clinic. So women who have already had challenges. So you're being put into that group, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's you. And there's so much you can do to optimize your fertility, but please don't overlook that emotional piece. That's very
Yes, the emotional piece. And now that you brought up the statistics, I would like to give our readers like 3 tips when it comes to mental and emotional well-being, because that's what we really need here too, is that you realize, please, you are not a statistic. That is tremendously important. You are not a statistic. As Aimee just said, most of the data comes from the infertility clinics, because for them, they have it. It's easy to track. It's easy to do. And you are now in a group, the only thing you as a person have in common with the whole group of people in that statistic
Right.
is the number on your driver's license.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the only thing you have in common. They don't grow up with the parents that you grew up. They don't have your diet. They don't have your anything, your DNA, your outlook on life, nothing. So please step away from the stats buffet.
Yes.
If you need to read it, then read it once and then file it and step away. Please, you are not a statistic. And then I really encourage everybody to become a fertility rebel in your own way. And when I say that, I'm not talking about the adolescent rebel that says, oh, I'm going to prove you wrong, or, not that one. But the woman who takes a deep breath, takes in what's around her, so the statistics, everybody will tell you something to do and so on. And then you evaluate what's in front of you, and then you really listen to your own gut.
I love that.
Whatever advice you get, does that feel right to you?
Yes.
Is that the right thing? Does it speak to you? Is there something inside of you that says, oh yeah, I see that.
Mm-hmm.
That could be my path, my whatever else.
Right.
And so this is the fertility rebel that I'm talking about. And please don't give in to the power of the person who has the most certainty about things. That's usually a person of authority, a doctor in a white coat, a lawyer, when you have any. But don't necessarily give your power to them only because, oh, I know this. Because they say, I know this. I've been doing this for 20, 30 years. This is my way and I know it. If it feels wrong to you, it is wrong to you.
Yep.
If it feels wrong, it is wrong. And so that is the second thing, the fertility rebel. You're not a statistic. And thirdly, give yourself time.
Yes.
Give yourself time to work with somebody who can help you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, because all the work that you do, it will also hugely pay off when you have the child.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I couldn't agree more.
We think, okay, so then you're pregnant and then you have the baby and everything is going to be okay. But this is like, whoa, then you're in for the next ride.
Yes.
So talking about the German Autobahn and I'm sitting in the Porsche, now I have the child who invented the Autobahn.
Yeah.
A total wild child. He's like, whoa. He's like, so it's like my life is very busy now and very active and very, that's another thing. When we think that when we get older, we lose energy. We find ourselves on the couch. Mm-hmm. We do, what other people do at a certain age.
Right.
And I think we give up the right. I gave up the right to sit on the couch on a Saturday morning when I'm 50 or 55, as soon as I conceived my child, because that ain't happening. We are out and about. We need to do things. So I always have to be younger than my
I love that part. It keeps us healthy and young. Like we're, I love that part.
Yes. They keep us younger. We have to stay healthy. We have to be active and energized. So for me, and I see it also from my mom, don't forget, third generation.
Yeah. Right. So you're used to it. Yeah.
I also have the perspective of my own parents. I kept them young. I may have given them the occasional white hair, I'm sure, but I kept them young.
I love that. I love it. I love it, Bettina. Thank you so much. This was so good.
Do we have any questions? I don't, I am such
I can't see any. This is my first time using Zoom to Facebook.
I don't know how to wave back.
So, but what I'll do is I'll circle through and then I'll share with you too. But I have to hop into my Yes You Can Get Pregnant e-course group now. We have our office hours starting at 12:30. So I need to hop over there to them. I know. It's okay. I'm sure they're all watching this, so don't worry.
Please send them my love and my apologies.
If you guys have any questions for Bettina or I, post them in the comments and I'll circle through. And if I can't answer them, or if they're
me too,
I'll get them to her and she will answer them. But
or ask me questions directly too, please.
Yeah, you can go on her Facebook page and ask her questions directly.
Yeah, it's Bettina.Gordon, for example. On Facebook, Bettina.Gordon.
There you go. Super easy. Okay, and how else can we find you? Facebook, the book.
Yeah, exactly. The book again, The Joy of Later Motherhood. It's out in US bookstores around the country. Please go support your bookstores.
I love it. Yes.
Online, Amazon, everywhere, and also internationally. You can buy it online. Even in Australia. You may have to wait a little bit, yeah. Or you come to my website and send me an email at bettinagordon.com is where you find me. Bettina is Bettina. Gordon, GORDON.com. Find me there, send me an email. If you can't get it, I send you happily a PDF. If you can't get it wherever you are, please come and I'll happily support you in any way, shape, or form I can, and the PDF for sure.
You're so sweet. Okay, thank you so much. And it was so great having you on. So great to see you. You're glowing.
Yeah, thank you, Aimee. I found
you got your passion. I love it. And you're lighting other people up. It's gorgeous.
Well, thank you so much for having me and giving me the chance to shine.
Of course, my love. Okay, I will talk to you soon, okay?
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.